touch every person in my life that I care about and love. But wait, maybe I'm getting too emotional. That's exactly what they say you ain't supposed to do. Suppress your feelings, never talk about your pain. Can't appreciate the sun without acknowledging it rains, right? That's right. So this a moment of clarity. And make sure you always protect your energy. You stay focused and your life gon' be lit. And you are now rocking with Celeste, the therapist. Let's go.
Hi. All right, so hi, beautiful people. So if you have never been in here before, my name is Celeste. I'm a therapist from Boston. I come on, I talk to people that are doing things to empower the lives of others. I do that by sharing their story. And I have been podcasting since 2018 of July. So we are like, 2 years in? And when the pandemic started, for people that have been following me for a while, know that, hi, Miss P Love, know that I started coming on 5 days a week. And then I started doing the video podcasting, which has been an amazing journey. I've mastered using this StreamYard platform, and I've mastered producing and figuring out all this stuff. Anybody who knows me knows I'm very transparent about like how much it takes me a long time to figure stuff out. Anything outside of mental health, I kind of got down packed. So I'm excited. So we're streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, and hey, Ms. Deb, and YouTube, Facebook, and Periscope, yes. And I know I haven't seen you guys in a long time, so I'm back. So Mondays and Thursdays, you'll find me back, and I'm excited. So I'm going to bring on my special guest, and if you're not following my podcast, I'm streaming on all podcasting platforms, and there's 200 and some odd episodes that can help you. Kosua, hi, how are you? Hey, everybody. So I'm going to bring on, hey, Margaret. Hey, Derek. I'm going to bring on my special guest now before I get, because y'all know I could talk to y'all all day long, but I can't have Ursula in the backstage waiting for me. Y'all know how I feel about y'all in talking to y'all. So I'm going to just bring her on because I could be on here saying hi to everybody all day. Okay, let me bring on my special guest.
Hello.
So, hi, can you introduce yourself to my audience, please?
I sure can. Hello, everyone. My name is Ursula. I am the host of the podcast Black Girls Getting Their Shift Together, and I'm located in Atlanta, Georgia.
How's the climate out there in Georgia?
Actually, it's been very nice for the past 3 days. It's nice, about 65 degrees.
Y'all do your thing over there. Y'all flipped it for us. You know what I'm saying? And I don't talk about politics on here, but I just got to shout y'all out for coming out strong.
So happy about that. Ecstatic.
Thank you, Ursula, for being here. So Ursula DM'd me a few months ago this amazing I was going to say letter, but it was in a DM, so it's technically not a letter, but it could have been a letter about how my podcast has benefited her and how she started a podcast. So I said, when I start back up live, can you be my first guest? And she said yes. So I'm honored to have you here. This is exciting for me to have a guest on that has been following me for Periscope days.
It's been a long time.
For a long time. So I'm just grateful to have you on because you are part of the reason why I'm here. So let's start a little bit with your story. So were you born and raised in Georgia?
Actually not. But before I say that, Celeste, I just want to thank you for having this platform. You're saving lives one podcast at a time.
Thank you.
This is what our community needs. This is what the world needs. So thank you and keep it up, please. But I'm originally from Massachusetts, area code 413. I know you're 508, right? Or
617, Boston, baby.
Okay. So yeah, I'm originally from Massachusetts, and now I live in the South.
Okay.
And I love the weather down here. Definitely, Georgia culture is different from up north, as you know.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Right.
So what was it like in the 413 area code in the household that you was brought up in?
Excuse me?
What was the household like where you were raised in the 413 area code?
Toxic.
Toxic how?
Extremely toxic. I had a narcissistic parent.
Okay.
So as you being a therapist, you already know that it was a tumultuous upbringing, but I thought it was normal from the things that I saw and what I heard, which carried over into adulthood.
So with you, when Ursula's saying she thought it was normal, that makes a lot of sense, because if that's all you know, the environment being toxic, then why would you think any other way to be? Being raised in that environment, like how do you feel that it affected you as an adult?
Oh, how it affected me, I had learned to shut down and become smaller, which is not my personality. And my communication skills were horrible because all I knew was listening to the yelling and just the shutdown. I saw both ends of the spectrum, the passive, and then I saw the aggressive. So then I became passive aggressive.
Oh, you became passive aggressive with people.
Yeah.
Oh, did you take on a lot of people's stuff? Like, did you find yourself taking on people's, like, if they said anything negative to you, did it feel like you were that negative person inside?
A little bit. Yeah, I held on to emotions, definitely. And it didn't feel good because now that I'm in the headspace right now, I realize that I don't have to take on everybody's baggage. And it was more of like victimizing myself, and I didn't have to.
Can you talk a little bit about the victimizing? One of the things that this podcast, like I try to do, is empower people. And I think, your environment was toxic. You was definitely a victim as a child. You had no choice. You was very stuck. As an adult, as you know, we're not stuck anymore, but we can still feel like we're stuck. Tell people what that victim mentality looks like.
Oh, being hard on myself, unforgiving, having ruminating thoughts, negative thoughts that served me no purpose whatsoever. And it was like a continuous hamster wheel of the negativity, and even having that attracted to me. And I'm attracted to that type of person in relationships. Was not good at all.
I appreciate sharing that part, and because there's a lot of people that have similar stories. And what was it for you? Because I had a woman on who has this website. It was neveryou.com, and she talked about not realizing how she grew up in a narcissistic household, and the turning point was reading something about narcissism, and then she was like, oh snap, this is what happened to me. What was your turning point for you to go from this normalizing being passive aggressive, being a victim, to get into a place of talking about Black girls getting your shift together? Like, what was that transition like?
Well, the transition was I was in a very toxic work environment to the point I had to go. It was just too bad. I overstayed my welcome. So with that being said, I needed to go to the doctor because I had a lump. And they said, well, and I am fine, everybody. I am fine. But they said, well, while you have your services, you know that there's counseling services here also. I said, okay, I'll try it. Why not? What else do I have to lose? Because, everything else was toxic. It could be nothing but good. So from there, I had the best therapist ever.
Nice.
And I took a deep dive. I never missed one session with her at all. I learned so much about myself. And that's how I became involved in podcasts, because I wanted to learn everything that was going on. So she gave me life work. I don't call it homework, but she gave me life work and it never stopped. So if my sessions were on Thursday, I kept going at it until the next Thursday. I didn't just leave that bag there. Yeah, because I started it. Don't get me wrong, it was rough. Therapy for me, it was hard. It was rough. It was emotional. Oh my God, the crying, everything. But I was still pursuing to get through on the other side of it. So, with that being said, unknowingly a habit came or a ritual came that I stopped watching TV. Actually, the last time I had turned the TV off when Kobe Bryant passed away that weekend.
Okay.
I did not turn my TV on until football season, this season started. So all I did was just listen to podcasts, just deep dive in it. And that's how I came across your podcast. And so from there, everything was about Celeste the podcast. Everything was about Black Girls Therapy. Everything was about just everything. And so one day, I'll never forget, I was listening to a replay of your podcast. I forgot what number it was, but it was about, it gets to a point where you stop surviving and start thriving. That was about 11 o'clock in the morning. So July 6th at 6:04 p.m., I was washing some dishes and I was just replaying like, yeah, I remember Celeste said that. And it's like literally something just clicked in my head. And I said, I have been thriving for the past month and had no idea that I had that mind shift. And I was just crying. It's like I just got rid of all that trauma and toxicity out of me. And I couldn't stop crying before I realized that 15 minutes had gone by.
Let it go. You gotta let that stuff out. You gotta let it out.
But you know what? I made sure when I was letting it out, that I made sure that as everything was going out, that I was still filling my mind with positive thoughts.
Yes.
And that the crying was a good thing. It was a cleansing of it. And so I consider July 6th my second birthday.
Oh, that's so dope.
I really do. I really do. And it was that one sentence when you said that, I know I put in the hard work and I recognize that. But when you said that one sentence, that was a game changer right there. Game changer. And then I guess like a month later, I don't know, I just started, let me DM her. And I DM Derek Jones as well. Because it's just Melissa Eiffel. I'm telling you, I was all into your podcast. And because of you, the podcast you had with Nami, the gentleman that lives in Pennsylvania.
Oh my God, I love him. I love Nami. Yes.
I became a volunteer with Nami here.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh my God, you're just like so dope. So I just got to highlight a couple of things because, I'm listening to you and I'm processing, and I just want to highlight some things for the people that are listening to this. One of the things that she did was she got out of her comfort zone and started therapy. And you guys know I'm a really big advocate for therapy, but I also know it's not always accessible, but it doesn't hurt to try. And then one thing I tell my clients is that, therapy is like one part of everything that we do. And so it's important for us to not just look at therapy as the only thing. And as our healing process, you said like it was life work. And I always say when we start to put in the work, eventually our mind and body has no other choice but to fall in line. So you go from so many years of being raised in a toxic environment, even as an adult, thinking like this just is the way life is. And so now you transition and you start putting in work and your mind starts to acclimate. And now what I say starts to hit differently. I'm sure I've said stuff like that before, but it's something about, and it could have been my podcast, a book, or something you watched on TV. Something happens and this release happens and I can't explain it, but you are a living witness that this is how it works, and I hear it all the time. And so, like, that's so dope that you had that experience. I'm really excited for you.
Thank you. It was hard work, but it's so well worth it.
Mm-hmm.
And I just encourage anyone, everyone, it's not going to hurt. Therapy is okay. It really is. It's hard work, but so isn't hard work living through a toxic environment or being in a toxic relationship. And therapy is not going to kill you.
Mm-hmm. No, it's not.
No.
And so you had this experience. Now I want to fast forward into how you became more involved in like mental health and creating this podcast. Like, what was that experience like for you?
Well, because I was so involved in listening to podcasts, and I was talking to one of my girlfriends, and I was telling her about whatever the podcast was. I don't even remember who it was. And she said, and I was saying how good it was. And she said, why don't you start a podcast? Okay. Why not?
Why not?
Why not? And so I did. And literally 2 weeks later, because my old habit was just to get ideas and just let it sit there and not move with action. So this time I said, just do it, Ursula. So within 2 weeks, I just got it together and here I am. And I figured I wanted to share my story because I don't know, I just feel so much more abundant and joyful. And I was already good, but I do realize being great and awesome is so much better way to live, better quality of life. And that's how I wanted to share that word with everyone.
So because I meet a lot of people that will be like, oh, I want to start a podcast, but there's other podcasts. I'm like, well, there's a lot of TV shows. I don't hear nobody saying they're not going to do the TV show. What was that? Because it sounds like you made a commitment. Like, you know what, I'm going to commit to this. And then you did it within 2 weeks. What was that like as far as your emotions going? Because you're now charting on new territory to create this platform. What was that like for you?
It was scary. I was nervous because by trade, I'm in the dental field. So I know teeth very well.
You could tell somebody about some teeth real quick, but...
So it was intimidating. I will admit I felt insecure because I never told anyone my path. So I just did it. I just jumped right into it. So even though I had the nervousness, but I also felt empowered because I made a commitment to myself. And I learned to have, I also had a life coach towards the last 3 months of my therapy. And she really encouraged me to have an accountability partner. And so I knew if I didn't get up on it, I knew she was going to be calling me real soon. You know, Ursula, what's going on? So I felt empowered because I was pushing myself and not waiting for anybody to do it for me.
Because nobody's going to come save you. And that's something that I think when we start to imprint that in our minds, we are our worst enemy. It's not our past. It's not people in front of us. It's the way that we think about things. And sometimes we could think about them so bad, but that's because of all of our experiences. And we're not our experiences, right?
Right.
So tell people what they can expect from Black girls getting their shift together. Because I love it. And if you could see, I didn't realize I cut that off. S is for self-awareness. For people that are listening, H is for humble, I is for intuitive, F is for forward, and T is for thankful. Tell people about, and you can find this right now streaming on all podcasting platforms. Tell people about what they can expect from this.
Well, what you can expect from Black girls getting their shift together, you're going to find out different ways on how to shift your mindset. So if you feel like you're thinking negative, a lot of thoughts, or being an energy vampire, you're going to get tips on how to do it. Pretty much, I'm going to give you the tools that my therapist gave me. And I have different examples of people who you would have never thought had similar or different experiences. And to know that you can get on the other side of the rainbow is just, you got to take that first step. That's all that is.
Yeah.
That's all it is. And I also have affirmations on there. So if you're feeling anxious, you have anxiety, you can't think of what affirmations you want to say, just come on over to my podcast. I will guide you through that as well.
I love it. And people so when I started coming on live, I think that people are there podcast. Yeah, that I'm pretty sure young Black teen girls can listen to it as well. Yeah, it's all about mental health. When I first started coming on as a therapist, I feel like people had this assumption that because I was a therapist, it's the only reason why I was able to talk about the things I talk about. So when I have people so I was like, let me create this podcast and have people on like you who are empowering other people by sharing their story. I think that it's a powerful experience for people because when there are people that are going through similar things, it lets you know you're not alone, right?
Yeah.
I totally commend you for stepping completely out of your comfort zone because I'm still in my bag with this mental health stuff. You know what I'm saying? I'm still in my bag, and you step completely out your comfort zone to to help other people heal, and I just I admire that. I think that's amazing.
Thank you so much. It was a step out on faith and just courage, but I wouldn't do anything different because when I put it in my head, within 14 days, it was done.
Y'all hear that, people?
I was not playing with it at all. At all. Mm-mm.
When you got something you're trying to do, guys, I need you to think about creating a date for it and just push past that comfort zone because sometimes I tell people you won't always feel like it. There's a lot of things that you may not feel like doing, especially when it's new. The doubt is going to set in. And I say, why wouldn't it set in if you've never experienced it before? Of course, you're going to have doubt, but the doubt doesn't have to control you. And so that's the key, right?
Right. And my doubt had controlled me for decades. I'm ashamed to say it, but it is my reality. It really did. But it got to a point when I said, no more. That is it. And I don't have it now, but I have a calendar, one of those big desk calendars. Mm-hmm. So what I do for myself, I write that date down and then I tell that accountability partner that I have. So I know I have to stick to it for sure.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So go ahead. Tell me what you're going to say.
Oh, I was going to just say that for people not to feel ashamed and don't beat yourself up if you don't reach that goal, whatever that goal date is or the goal situation, just keep pushing past it. Just acknowledge it, validate it, but keep going. Mm-hmm.
Somebody said they like the art. I wanted to ask you about the art in the back. But before I forget, I just wanted to tell you guys, this is also Ursula, so you make things, right? Because she sent me this beautiful necklace. I'm over here feeling I'm feeling myself right now. For people listening to this on audio, it says, "How are you feeling?" And anybody who knows me, that's my biggest thing. How are you feeling? And then on the other side is my logo. This is so beautiful. You made this, right?
I did. I'm also a jewelry designer, an artist, and because ethically I could not give my therapist gifts.
Right.
And I said, well, you know what? I'm going to have to give it to somebody else who helped me guide me to my shift. So I don't know if I told you, I actually made that for you sometime way before the podcast was even a thought. I think I made that for you. I'm embarrassed to say, holding on to things, probably May of this year.
Oh, wow. Well, she's saying that because I just got it the other day. I could have been flossing this all summer. I could have been bag all summer. I'm like, okay, but it's cool. I got it though. Thank you.
Wait, Celeste, that was before my mind shift.
I gotta forgive you. You know what I'm saying? I'm a therapist, so I get it. Somebody has a question. What does that look like though, pushing through your comfort zone?
Pushing through it is to not let any of the negative self-talk stay there. I'm not going to say that I never have self-talk, but it used to live in my head. So now it comes in my head and then I push it away because I know it's just that just negative self-talk. So I had to put it to bed. And then sometimes I had to throw it out of the window and then truly not care what other people think, because I didn't realize that I didn't realize that looking for self-validation, I was always second guessing myself. It was no need. It was no need. And that's what it looks like, just pushing past it and being the best person you can be. Because we all are superheroes inside. It's just getting rid of all that toxic dump. Let it out. And then all that creativity is just going to start coming in. So that's what pushing past it means.
Oh, just the way you said that, I could tell you just have this like peaceful aura about you now. Like, it's just so nice to see. And you know, I love it. I love the energy, especially learning about growing up in a home with a narcissistic parent. And I think, unfortunately, a lot of people have that story and don't even understand, like, that part of their life is kind of what held them back for so long. So like, this is amazing that you are here to share that. So tell me a little bit about this artwork in the back.
So this artwork here, let's start with this. This is actually a light.
Oh.
So when it's lit, it has a beautiful aura against the wall, and it looks like a bird's nest. And it's out of wood. It's rattan. And the mask, actually, I added this raffia to it, but this mask I got at a Goombay festival in Asheville, North Carolina.
Oh, wow. That's so cool. So you're very much into your artsy stuff. Before you got your shift together, did you find yourself still being able to create as much as you create now?
Oh my God, yes, but it was in a different way.
Okay.
I was very, very creative, especially with the jewelry.
Mm-hmm.
My jewelry was in Bloomingdale's here in Atlanta. Yeah, it was, as well as the flagship store in Manhattan on Lexington and 52nd. And they contacted me.
Wow,
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yes, it was a different kind of jewelry that I made for you, but it was big statement pieces. And they invited me and they said, well, you know, we have some of the hottest new designers around the country come to Bloomingdale's, and I outsold everyone.
Wow.
I was on.
So how can people find your jewelry information?
urbancharmjewelry.net.
urbancharmjewelry.net. Okay, I'll make sure to put that in the show notes for people.
And it's urban without the A.
Is there anything you don't do? God,
if I could have ran for president, I would have.
You're like a jack of all trades. Wow. Okay. So this is Ursula. Ursula, who's healing on her healing journey and in a whole new space because she decided to get out of her comfort zone and get uncomfortable. She's a lot of tears. And I think a lot of people that get to a place where you are, like right now, sometimes people forget where they came from and can present as if like, oh, just do this and do that. But I love how you're clear on like, it was very hard. Don't let that stop you from starting this journey because it's hard right now. So, you know, it's better to have a goal of knowing that something's going to shift if you keep doing the work. Is that fair to say?
It's extremely fair. It is. And it's so rewarding at the end. Well, you know, I take that back. It's not the end because I had to realize that going through therapy it's a marathon, but it's a good marathon. Instead of just being a sprint, even though I've been discharged from my therapist, I still go to group therapy. I don't play with it. I keep going because it's only going to help me. Yeah, and my life work continues. As a matter of fact, I don't know if I told you this, to continue my life work, next month I'll be a certified life coach as well.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, wow. See, there's more. I said, is there anything you don't do? You keep telling me all this stuff. I'm just a therapist, and I got you doing jewelry, making art, all this stuff. That's awesome. I'm going to take one more question, and then I want you to give us, I want you to think of something that if somebody's listening to this and they feel touched by your story, what kind of advice would you give to them? But Jerry wants to know, did you have some setbacks? Because I often do. It's a really good question.
I did. I had a lot of setbacks. And if it wasn't from myself, Jerry, it was from family members or some friends, because once again, I did a deep dive because I had a narcissistic parent, and I learned that there were terms like gaslighting. Then I learned that there was secondary gaslighting. Those are all setbacks. And if you're already in a negative headspace, you're already going to have a setback, but that setback would be at a level 10, So I would say if you have a setback, hopefully you don't, but if you do, that's normal also. I would think that that's normal, because if it was that easy, everybody would go to therapy. But I was willing to face the negative things that were going on. So yeah, I had the setbacks, but I knew that having an abundant life was a lot better than staying in that cesspool of setback.
Yes. And I just want to piggyback off of what Ursula said in regards to family and friends. I think sometimes with the setbacks, and one thing about getting your life together and learning more about yourself, you're going to start to recognize that some of the environments you in no longer serve you, that you were in there because of the shell that you were. And once you start understanding, like, I need to create boundaries, I need to learn how to say no. And so, like, people are going to struggle with that. And you just have to be kind of mentally prepared and know, like, everybody's not going to be happy with your change.
They're not.
Right? Because now you're no longer serving them the way you were before. So you really have to be mindful of that. And in life, one of the things I say all the time is there's a lot of pain in life, but it's, how do we respond to it? And that's the biggest thing. There's going to be ups and downs. So when it comes, I'm not trying to say it's easy to get through it, but it's possible, right? It's possible. Is that fair? Would you agree with that point?
It's extremely possible. It's no different than having a job you don't like, but you get up every day, whether you like it or not, and you get through it, and you looking at the clock, but you get through the day.
Yeah.
It's no different. And then you're making somebody else rich, but why not go through to make your own self rich here in your soul?
And a big part of that is because of survival, right? We need our job to survive. And most of us, especially Black people, we know how to survive very well. That's all we've done our entire lives. And that's all we've witnessed. That's all we've seen. So in order to actually start living, it requires us to push past the same way the alarm goes off and we don't want to get up for work, but we do it. We have to, like, create the spaces that Ursula talked about creating to help with the healing process.
Right.
So I want you to tell me about some advice for my audience. And I just want to really quick, this network. So Jerry says, I distanced myself from a lot of people and now I feel a bit lonely, haven't found a new network. And the lonely part is a part of this healing journey, I think. I'm sure you would agree with that, right?
Yes. And Jerry, I get what you mean by that, but with that mind shift, sometimes when you distance yourself from people or people distance away from you, I see them as deleting themselves off, and because they're not fitting into the new mindset that you have, they probably just serve their purpose for that time, and you have to set boundaries, and it's okay, because you want to have a quality of life and not just because of the quantity of years you've known someone, or because you all have the same bloodline. Sometimes it just doesn't work that way. And you probably are going to lose more people, because I don't know how you grew up or what your situation is now, but if you have a toxic relationship or friendship, family ship, whatever it is in that bubble, and if you go outside of it, disruptive to people who like to family keep secrets and jobs keep secrets. You just gotta, it's okay. It's okay.
It is
Just trust yourself. Yeah, just trust yourself. You're already thinking about it. So obviously you are in the mix of that mind shift, Jerry. So you know what? I see Jerry right now and myself like on a bed of hot coals and you touching your toe in it. Jerry, just run across it. That's run across it. It's gonna hurt, it's gonna burn, you'll get blisters, but guess what? There's always a pavement or a patch of grass on the other side. Just
Amen.
go for it.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you. That was good. Now, for my people listening who have experienced parts of your story, they could be where Jerry's at, they could be at the beginning part. What would you say to them? What kind of advice would you give to them?
Let's see. That's a good one. My advice is if you're thinking about, hey, Derek, if you are thinking about going to therapy, that's okay, but don't think about it. Oh, so you said it hurts and it's been some years. Yeah, you think about it, but don't think about it too long because obviously your intuition is telling you something is just different and it doesn't feel right. And it's just no different than if you're having heart palpitations, you're going to go see a cardiologist. Mm-hmm. So it's no different than going to talk to a counselor or a life coach, a therapist, but make sure they're professional therapists, not just, that's a whole nother story, but just don't think about it too long.
Yes.
Because before you know it, like I've done, that's why I don't judge anyone. It'll be decades that'll go by. And you know what? This is Corona season. What time is it? 8:30. 10:30 tonight is not even promised. Mm-hmm. So just try it. And if the therapist isn't a good fit, just try another one.
Yes, I love
try another one.
And I want to highlight what she says. Something I always say is that we have what we need, but we have to have faith to believe in ourselves. I stand firm on the fact that we're destined for greatness, and there's greatness within all of us. And until we start to step out on faith, sometimes this guy I love, this guy Les Brown, who's 75, he's amazing to me. Says sometimes you have to believe in somebody else's passion or vision in you before yours kick in. And then also I feel like sometimes you just have to start putting in the work. When I started my healing journey, I wasn't quite there where I'm like, this is going to work, but I was just tired of the way I was living. And I always say, what you're doing is not working. Why not try something else? What do you got to lose if it's not working right now? And so really start to develop that mindset so that you can really get to a place where I know that you can be at. I wouldn't be doing this podcast or a therapist if I didn't believe that we all had it within us. So
I absolutely chase that fire.
Mm-hmm. Oh, this was good. Tell people how they can find you, my dear. I appreciate you for being here and sharing your story.
Thank you for having me so much. So everyone, you can reach me on Facebook. It's Black Girls Getting Their Shift Together, as well as on Instagram. Come back and visit in a month. Keep visiting now, but in a month, I will be a certified life coach, specializing in personal development, self-love, self-care, self-validation. Hit me up.
And maybe one day she'll invite me on her podcast. Hopefully I'll get an invite. That is
You know what? That invitation will always stay open for you.
Oh, I can't wait. I love coming on podcasts to talk. Being the host, you know how it is as a host. You got to get prepared. But for me, when I go on your show, I just got to show up and just start talking.
It is a treat because you're right. You have to prepare. This time, all I had to do was put up my light and put some lipstick on, and I was fine. I like this side of it.
Yeah, I know. It's nice.
I would love for you to be on my podcast because you are a ray of light for me, and I want that sun being to just shine with everyone with you.
Thank you. Correct. Congratulations. I listened to her podcast. Congrats, world. You got people listening to you in other countries. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know where these people are coming from, but they're coming. You just keep being consistent. It's going to keep happening. So congrats on everything that you're doing. You are amazing. And you are healing so many people with your story and with allowing people to come on and offer up their advice. So thank you.
Thank you, Celeste. You're the best. God bless you.
All right. We'll talk to you later. So that was Ursula. So this episode is going to be available on audio podcast. So if you are not following the podcast, there's over 200 episodes that you can check out. And there's so many stories like hers. For somebody that's struggling with feeling alone, when you hear people share this, I even have chills when I listen to people talk. And when you hear somebody share their story, you start to recognize like, oh my gosh, like that sounds like my story. Maybe I can get through this hump that I'm in right now. Whether it's a podcast, whether it's a show, whether it's music, whether it's writing, whether it's just going for a walk in nature, like you have to put in some work in order to see yourself starting to shift. And last thing I want to say for people that are in the West Coast, because I know my people in the East Coast are going to be knocked out tonight. I'm going to be on the Tammy Mack show, and I'm going to be discussing. I'm going to be discussing on a panel mental health and the stigma of mental health in the Black community. So Fox Soul is it's a network that brings Black voices on. So I'm excited about that. So if you are on the West Coast and you want to watch it live, you can. They're on YouTube, and also you can look at the app. If you want to follow me on any social media platform, you're going to stay up for that. You're in Maryland, Derek. Hey, thank you, Miss P Love. Thank you. You're on Instagram, right? I think you wrote under my thing. Thank you so much for listening to me. I'm grateful and I'm happy that you are finding benefit from the podcast. So I'll be on there tonight, 12. That's tonight. Yeah. So it's tonight, 12 a.m. Sorry, I gotta get these times right. 12 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 Pacific Time. But I have a lot of listeners in California. So definitely check that out. You can follow me on celestetherapist.com. You guys like my new logo? I had to change it up a little bit since we're 200 episodes in. I was thinking about changing up the song, but I was like, nah, people. Oh yes, okay, you are on Instagram. I was thinking about changing up the song, but I'm like, nah, because people know that song. So I gotta keep it consistent. So thank you guys so much for rocking out with me. We'll be back Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to be talking to Jermaine Morris. Jermaine comes on. He's going to be coming on every month, and anytime I talk to him, he offers so much wisdom, and he's super dope. I love him a lot. So I'm excited about that. So until Thursday, I'll talk to you later, but you can follow me on all social media platforms. Just search Celeste the Therapist.
Smile, every hug, every kiss, every touch, every person in my life that I care about and love. But wait, maybe I'm getting too emotional. That's exactly what they say you ain't supposed to do. Suppress your feelings, never talk about your pain. Can't appreciate the sun without acknowledging it rains, right? That's right. So this a moment of clarity. And make sure you always protect your energy. You stay focused and your life gon' be